the first map in the marathon of a 5-map series ahead, and it all starts on Lotus. M80's pick, and they're going to come out on top in a strong 13-10 fashion. Though, when we started this off, Roy, it was Winthrop University with the lead, but once we got into the side swap, it kind of seemed at most points, minus the Thrifty, that M80 could do no wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same thing that we saw from them yesterday, right? Against Qbert Academy on split, where they were completely down on their defense side, but as soon as they got on that attack side, it looked like an absolute masterclass. And they're here teaching once again to Winthrop University. You know, they're not messing around. You cannot get comfortable. The level of play that they show, the level of consistency that they show whenever they're down is, like we said, we've been saying it for so much. The resilience, you can never count them out, no matter what kind of half you're getting against them.
It was really cool to see, and especially because that first half Winthrop University, it seemed like they were getting away with it. Surely it was the attacking side. You know, they should be getting the most amount of rounds there. But they won the bonus, and we start questioning, okay, is M80 going to wake up? What is going to happen on this map? And then they do the exact same thing as they go into the attacking side. The bonus goes their way, and it was very interesting, as the guys were saying. It was in such a similar fashion as the bonus for Winthrop University went, but it was a massive impact from Bao, where he's towards that C side, gets to with the Guardian, and with that they were able to recover some of those rifles and secure that round. Then it was just a little bit of momentum coming on the side of M80 to close out this half that was incredibly dominant. How many rounds did we see on this attacking side where they were fighting for a Robble, both of the teams, but it was just an M80 on the attacking side that were willing to be just a little patient towards the end with an operator in the hands of B-Dog, but early on as well, holding on, having Bao be the distraction, be the one who's trying to make that noise as everybody else is working the rest of the map. It was really cool to see, and M80 just keeps proving how in-depth this strategy is.
And I think that is the one thing that is beautiful about their attack side, is the fact that they can play so many styles. They can play so many tempos. They can play slow. They can control you. They can op you. They can hit up set pieces. And it really does feel like their style, not only is it like really well drilled, but there's also so much room for individual flair when times call for it. And it seems like they have the firepower in every single role to really step up and claw away disadvantages if they find themselves in those scenarios. But ultimately, it really just was a masterclass by them on that attack side. Almost a flawless half, a beautifully well-played half. And now we're going to be going into the second map. I would just like to remind us that this is the M80 map pick. So things ended as expected, I would say. Of course, Sato and Bao having a great first map. Same thing that we saw against Qbert Academy yesterday. They were pivotal in their performances against that team. They're doing it again. They're keeping it going today. And now we are going into Haven, guys. This is going to be the Winthrop University pick, a map that they have been super dominant on and taking so many of the top teams down on that map.
I want to call out for the side of Winthrop University too, because when we are talking about a masterclass of like an attack side from M80, 100%. That was clear through and through, hence why we got to see such a strong end into the map. But Winthrop University, they were firing back, and a lot of these big plays, like we got to see a lot of multi-kills coming out from moves here, Dan. We got to see Ali really step up, even on like the Thrifty with the share of 3K. So even if it was a Winthrop that couldn't quite stand up to the attacking half, it was still a decently close match, especially with the damage they did on their own attacking half. So if this is theoretically the best map for M80 and it's their map pick, I don't think this series is chalked by any means, even if the win condition was laid out from the beginning that we needed to see a lot from Winthrop University to start us off.
Yeah, I think there's a question of how this is going to play out for other maps. I mean, we've seen clearly on the side of M80 that they're very comfortable on the attacking side. We saw it on Split, we just saw it on Lotus, and it just makes sense. These are maps where their composition, everything that they're playing, should be setting them up for success in those halves. But now, as we go into Haven, I feel like the story might be a little different, and it has to be, right, for Winthrop University. This is their best map. They've been undefeated so far, as we've seen it recently. They've been doing really good. They've been adapting really good to what the teams are bringing, but I feel like M80, I don't know. I mean, just what we saw in the second half, I feel like they can just run away with it.
I mean, you're talking about things needed to change for Winthrop University, and when we're looking at the series as a whole, do not disagree with you. But when I look at Haven, this is where I put the pressure back on M80 to where we need to see a change. Because last time, Roy, we saw them on Haven. Sure, M80 are looking good on the day, and they're getting better every time. But this is where they kind of got clapped by Shopify Rebellion Black. So they definitely, going into this next one, I'm curious how they're going to play this out.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of, hey, Just like to remind the viewers, the last time that M80 had an appearance on Haven, it definitely was against Shopify Rebellion Black. It was a 13-2 loss, but it is not the last time we saw anything like this. They also got 13-1 by Shopify Rebellion Black on Fracture, and then in their next match versus TSM, they turned it around and beat TSM 13-8 on that map. So I think they're very aware of the fact that there's flaws in the way they're approaching it, and even though they got swept by Shopify Rebellion Black on both of those maps, they still had an amazing reappearance on those maps. So leave it to the team of M80, the coaching staff, to be able to bring things back. But of course, looking towards Winthrop University, I really do feel, and I completely agree with Dryad on this, that they need this map. If they want a real shot in this best of 5, they really need this map. This has to be a Winthrop University win.
And I just want to say, though, we've seen this team of M80 play Haven now a few times. It hasn't been the greatest, but we've only seen it one time with Sato. And it is that composition that you're seeing here, right? With the Neon, we've only seen these core of M80 play Haven one time, and it was that 13-2 that Roy just talked about against Shopify Rebellion Black. Now, do I think they're going to change it? I feel like it's very likely that they change Stato on this Neon, maybe put him on the Jet. This guy is used to playing the Jet. He played it a lot of this agent in last year, as we were seeing in Ascension, as we were seeing in Challengers. And it's something that a lot of other teams have opted to do, change its composition for the Neon, go for that comfort pick that we've seen on the Jet instead. And I wouldn't see why they don't want to bring this change. I mean, you get 13-2 by Shopify Rebellion Black. You're looking to fix a lot of things.
I definitely hope for M80's sake that there is a change in the composition there. Looking on the opposing end for Winthrop University, they have not been any strangers to switching things up, but Haven's actually one of those maps where, Roy, when you look back to what they've played, this has been really strong for them, and it's one of the few maps that they don't really swap this composition up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a tale as old as time, okay? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would be so surprised if they actually did make changes, even though they're undefeated on the map. So I am expecting the same composition. If they really did want to switch things up, I wouldn't be surprised to see a duelist swap up, but I feel like the Yoru fits Infiltrator extremely well on this map, and of course, the Vice has worked extremely well for them as well. If they do decide maybe moves will swap to a Cypher or something crazy like that, it pairs a lot better into the Neon that M80 might pull out. But a reminder to all of us, right, that these are two teams that can just swap up comps any second, and it feels like they're playing it at a level that they've been practicing for a year, it feels like. So I would not be surprised to see changes, but I also would not be surprised to see the same thing, just fixes and solutions to previous problems that they've had.
That's one of my favorite thing about these two teams is sometimes when you get really deep into the playoffs, it's like, okay, well, it's going to be the exact same thing. There's not switching anything up. But with M80 having a flexible map pool and Winthrop University on the day, like, okay, this is feeling a little bit better. We can swap it. I definitely think it makes things exciting. But to Haven, I definitely think, Dan, going back to your point, M80, a switch up, even if they don't switch up the composition, then my biggest question is where they switch up with fixing this map. Because when you are coming off of a 2-13 loss with the Agent Select ready here, listen to that, it definitely brings up a lot of questions.
And you don't even need to change that much, right? Just that Sato on the Jet would make all of the difference that they would want to. I can even play the Neon is okay. And I mean, as we find out, the composition is going to stay the same. Sato is going to keep playing on this Neon. So another point that you talked about, Roy, that I feel like is worth mentioning is the Cypher, right? We saw moves on that first map go back to that Cypher. We had the question on if they were going to do it today, knowing that Sato was going to be playing on this Neon. But no, of course, they're going to keep it the same. This is their map that they've been winning every single time. I mean, you see the 100% win rate of the 3 times that they've played it as of recent. And an M80 that had to make a lot of changes, a lot of talks to see how they can fix this and make sure it goes their way.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think the Neon will pair very well into this matchup as well. I mean, sometimes you don't need to make compositional changes. Just because you got swept on a map doesn't mean that you have a terrible composition. It just means that your approach was flawed. But M80 is the type of team that will learn. And again, the reappearances have been great, despite them having former losses, sweeping losses at that. But this is the team that can turn things around. Again, just a reminder, Winthrop University really needs this map. It is their map pick. Let's see what they got.
With no changes coming up from the composition, it's time to see what changes they've cooked up with the gameplay itself. As for Winthrop University, again, must-win map. It's time to head into Haven and back over to your casters, Jen and Marks.
Thanks so much, Sierra. Yeah, we started off with M80's best map, but now we go to the Winthrop Playground of Haven. And like the desk said, this is a must-win, or you're looking down the barrel of a series point to M80. And this is a ticket to the grand final, Marks.
Yeah, both of these teams right now playing to get into that grand finals and not get booted out of the tournament. So we're really just figuring out who is going to be our third place team. And I think a lot of the criticisms that the desk had brought up around M80's composition, they're still valid, but I do think that M80 are really starting to click together as a squad. Of course, Shopify Rebellion Black, they've been extremely good in the playoffs thus far, and so that loss shouldn't deter them from using this composition at all. But of course, this is the playground of Winthrop University, exactly like you said. So they're going to be the ones who have the hands on the wheel. And let's see if they're able to do it. Winthrop traditionally stronger on the attack as well. And that's exactly where they're starting. So I'm imagining we're going to be seeing a lot of chaos and a lot of repositioning from this unit.
Sato had gone away from the Neon yesterday on maps that he otherwise would have played it on. So I'm glad that after the win that they had on Lotus, that M80 feel confident to go back to Comfort, to go back to Sato, our little speed demon. But right now, he's standing still at B. The real exchange will be, did B-Dog get a read on how close this breach is? And Nasi just puts his forehead right into the barrel, makes things easy for B-Dog. The moves at least gets the trade, and this is where the garage holders of M80 emerge. It's a double kill from Bao, a huge conversion, leaving Winthrop really lost and being careful to pick up the spike. There's still someone in garage that Winthrop have to worry about. Now he's hoping to clear that, remove the danger, so he does. Numbers are equal.
And it comes down to this 2v2. Both of the initiators still alive for M80. So if they want to be disruptive, this is the time to do it. A couple of seconds till the fault line comes on. Ali be able to take Okeanos' head off.
Oh, it gets the high-low. That was sick from Ali. And I really thought Caillou and Okeanos could have done more. Like, they had a flash, but honestly, the action was too close for them to really have a setup. And that's a Winthrop pistol round, just the same way they kicked off Lotus. But we all know how that ended. They need to be able to close things out, you know?
Yeah, I feel like M80 is the team where it's like, even if it seems like they're not going to be able to win, you don't want to count them out yet. Obviously, the last map was a fantastic example of it, but if you look through their map history, like it happens more often than you would think. So Winthrop University really can't let off the gas pedal here. Already applying a little bit of pressure. Infiltrator in deep, looking for some early picks, but M80 just playing very disciplined and not giving themselves up.
Oh, locking down. Infiltrator deals with one, moves, covers his angle on the other, and Sato's caught in the open with no HP. M80 had such a good setup, and Winthrop addressed every gap in their defense. And this round is pretty much over. I mean, the anti-eco, you had to go for a big play if you were M80 with these pistols, and not really doing too much to Winthrop. A little bit of damage, but that's it.
And I think it's so funny how Bao still has the Sentinel's classic in hand, even though it was M80 that kicked out Qbert Academy in the last matchup here. But yeah, this round is going to be all but over. I talked about the discipline from M80, you know, just playing it a little bit more carefully. And Winthrop University just found some excellent timings to be able to go in there. The fault line comes out. Bao able to get one weapon, takes another head off.
Hey, just this cage forces in isolation, and kind of some unnecessary deaths from Winthrop not being able to carry as much into their bonus, only 2 rifles. So, and we mentioned on Lotus that Winthrop have had issues converting their bonus, and it's usually because of kind of unnecessary slip-ups at the finish line. So Winthrop did build really good momentum, like a 5-1 lead off of Lotus, and that slipped away on their defense. So see if Winthrop can carry this through.
It's like one of those like relay races where you have the baton and you're like passing it over, and then just at the very final stretch you go a little bit of an oopsie, and that's when the other team comes from behind. That's kind of how that last map felt, and honestly that's how that last round felt with what should have been a pretty easy bonus, but not going to be the case. Okay, now damage mitigated.
Infiltrator is doing so much. Like almost too much there of just popping out. I like when he cooks though. I like that he's got the Bucky. And when you're planning at C, if he can hold up close, this is definitely going to hurt M80. But Sato has the speed, and M80 have just droned up in garage, trying to give themselves an alternate angle. And it's an opening pick from Sato. It's from Winthrop being a bit desynced, but now you have a garage push too from Infiltrator, trying to go on a flank with the Bucky where the sun don't shine. Oh, B-Dog's vision fades to black, and M80 are trying to claw their way back into a stable position on the site, but all the angles that Winthrop took just overwhelmed them.
And they talked about this before the match started, but Infiltrator being so flexible on this duelist role. We got to see a little bit of the Rays on the last map, but Moves kind of stole the spotlight. This time around, Infiltrator's Yoru has been immaculate in previous matches, and we're already seeing the kit be fully utilized here. I mean, 2 Bucky kills and still able to stay alive throughout the entire round. On a very important, couple of kills for Infiltrator to make sure that Winthrop are able to get that spree going. But once again, never say never, because this is exactly how that first map went.
Yeah, the power of Bucky gets you lucky. Winthrop just played for the retake there. That was pretty sick, and convert their bonus. I try not to curse it. Now they got some Vandals, some Phantoms, but M80 Sheriffs, you just saw how they had a flawless Thrifty, or no, that was Winthrop, I think, on last map. But we've seen it all in Challengers.
Just a couple of nasty headshots, and of course, Okeanos being the point person might actually be able to find just that. So Winthrop go for this A crunch. Be the recon drone coming out here, spots out one person, and rightfully backs off. M80 do have decent reinforcements here, though.
Yeah, just wanting to use the fault line to get through main, and really thought Winthrop would have had a better setup going into this. Just needing to play off of Nazi's call. That is the IGL, and they flood in together, and Caillou converts 3 with the Sheriff. What did I say? This is now very winnable, and a thrifty potential for M80. But it is B-Dog that has to wait for a rotation over from Bao. A neural theft, the corpses are all over the site, so not accessible by Bao. B-Dog has a paranoia, and Bao just is winning this against rifles. I can't believe that. The neural theft, there's the advantage, and Winthrop don't have much time left. That is the most disrespectful knife kill in Challengers. What the hell?
B-Dog cooking it up. Goes to the paranoia, teleports over, and then gets a backstab. But yeah, I mean, a fantastic pistol round there. I gotta say, Caillou coming up absolutely massive. Finding those 2 kills as the 3-man flood comes into the dark cover, able to hold their ground, find just enough kills, and Bao, that kill cannot be understated. It was such a fun little maneuver that we got to see coming in from Nazi, trying to get that reposition nice and early, but gets shut down completely. Infiltrator already stunned up, but will not give up this A space for free. The good thing about this Yoru is that it can reposition really easily, but losing moves is not how you want to start the round.
Yeah, now M80 are taking L's across the board with these forward position at A. And Okeanos can't escape. He's got to converge with Caillou. They got recon, they got shock bolts, they got breach util, they're not using it. And Winthrop full punishing this setup. And this is tough. M80 just get broken open like an egg.
It was literally Winthrop University kicking the barn door down right on top of M80's face. No utility was even going to be able to bail M80 out. And once again, with how this composition plays, it's meant to just spiral off of one another. You just use a little bit of utility here, a little bit of utility there, and trust that you're able to go in and find people stunned up, take them out, and then win those fights. Exactly how Winthrop University executed this round. And yeah, it's just going to be a save coming in from Bao. Stayed alive on the other side of the map, has plenty of utility as well set up to make sure no little shenanigans can catch him off guard. As a Winthrop University, they win another round pretty decisively here.
Being able to keep most of their rifles too, which, I mean, Winthrop are not necessarily rich right now. It's kind of a struggle. And I remember M80 said in an interview that when they scrim against Winthrop, they quote, play so annoying. And M80 are like shooting bodies in round 4. Like they were excited for this match, but also they know that Winthrop's playstyle has been difficult. Like M80 are trying to surprise them and they just get really caught with their pants down, just being out in the open with nothing much to respond with.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next interview where they're going to talk about how they're ready to bust the knife out on round number 4 instead.
Yeah, what was that, B-Dog?
B-Dog just doing B-Dog things. But this time around, Winthrop University, once again, this pressure onto A. Feels like this has been their playground. They feel so comfortable moving in here. B-Dog and Bao just on the other side.
There's a shoe. I see the shoe. Oh, clone back and it's all a bait. The B for B-Dog stands for baited. And Bao could not punish. Really good play from Infiltrator too, just teleport back.
Yeah, and now we just see like Winthrop University are playing so slow. M80, they've reinforced themselves. You see that Bao and Sato do have a rifle in hand. Overdrive online, but at this point, Winthrop University, they're just kind of kicking their feet up, waiting for M80 to push into them.
That's all M80 keeps doing is like walking up. So I don't blame Winthrop for just standing there holding an angle and hit whatever site that they get kills at, which they've killed 2 or 3 now at A. So this is going to be a quick take, and M80 are trying to rotate behind, and there's a Rolling Thunder from Caillou, but to hit this from behind, it's got to be perfect coordination with Sato, who has the overdrive, but I don't know how much M80 really believe in this.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's just going to be Sato trying to find a couple of more kills. Not punish the economy of Winthrop University. As immediately Nasi doing an excellent job at watching that flank. Make sure that Caillou can't do any more damage. And this is just going to be Sato trying to make an attempt at it. Finds one. Does get taken down. Winthrop University starting to run away with things a little bit more as they find themselves now at 5 rounds. And their economy is looking really darn good.
This is totally exactly how Lotus started, though. Like,
that's true.
5-1. And then M80 hit a timeout and come back. I don't know. I don't know if I'm an M80 coach, but that's maybe something to talk about. Of just first you get baited, and then you walk up thinking that Winthrop pivoted somewhere else. You get caught in the Winthrop crosshairs, and you have a chance, and Caillou starts cooking a flank, and then he gets cooked. So M80 are adapting on the fly, but Winthrop are just having better reads at this state of the game. You got the dimensional drift, exploring around C, going for side quests, but doesn't have a Bucky this time, but he's just gonna uncloak on logs.
And given the economy too, this is when Winthrop University want to use their ultimates to try and win out some of these rounds. A little bit of a failed clone there, but Moob's able to find B-Dog pretty early on. That is going to be a lot of that flank potential just taken out.
And Moves has been so solid at mid, finding these picks. You got a Rolling Thunder finally from Caillou to break open this point to make Winthrop uncomfortable, but they stay in cover. And maybe just play the distance battle. Fault line hits them all the way at range, and Winthrop still win.
Yeah, fantastic job from Winthrop University. They say, hey, we know you guys have ultimates too. We're just going to start to hang back a little bit more. And that insurance policy of keeping Moves so far back was perfect. Just playing those long angles. The Cosmic Divide gets tossed up from Ali just to make sure that this is an impossible scenario, and that punishes the M80 economy, crippling it down where this is just going to be another save round for M80. Finally, we get to see that timeout coming through. This is what started to turn things around on the last map. Let's see what M80 got coming out of this one.
M80 have been trying to be proactive at A, just kind of walking up A long, not winning the duels there, and then the retake's tough, and at least the exchange of ults. Oh, we just really had to put that in the replay package. Damn. Damn.
Gotta keep things spicy, you know?
And just playing off of info, and just the timing of that teleport back from the Yoru was so gross too.
And while it looks like Winthrop University, they've got a more normalized strategy. They're showing us different varieties of how they want to actually play their attack. And I think that that is the main reason why M80 have been having a hard time at going on to that read. We've seen them have extremely dominant A rounds and extremely dominant C rounds, but it feels like they're just playing off the information that they're given, playing off of the picks that they're able to get before they decide to make that call. It's aggressive this time from M80.
Okay, Sato's just gonna take fate in his own hands. Goes towards Spawn. The firing squad is even too much for him. At least M80 with the sheriffs, they've thrifted this before. I think it was what, the only round they got, so they'll try to make it a second. And hey, they do better at a deficit, I guess. Not what I expected. They have Winthrop in their own spawn. The Spike is solo pushing C while Winthrop's bodies are being used as a distraction. And now Nasi has to pull off a 1v3 while M80 have picked up 3 Vandals.
This is one of those moments where it's just like, oh yeah, M80, they like playing it slow. And Winthrop University, we're completely counting on that to be the case there, as just the storm that M80 just runs forwards in. Winthrop University had no safe haven at all and just got completely run over. Sure, you can talk about it being a save round. Oh yeah, they're the best on the saves. But I just genuinely think that it was M80 taking the advantage into their own hands and being so much more aggressive, catching Winthrop University on the back leg that allows them to win their second thrifty round.
If I'm M80, I'm buying 5 shares right now. Like, if that's the only thing one of them rounds, like, send it. But for serious, they do have Sato, who's been trying to reinvigorate the team, give them confidence, go in with the overdrive, even though he gets chewed up here. The rest try to follow through, and you just gotta go in as a team, and maybe if they were a bit more synced up, it would have had a bigger splash. But an op, oh, okay, no more op. They were thinking about it, decided to just go with normal rifles. And it's not starting off well with the peak from Sato. And maybe a fault line that could have came out from M80 to support that. You got the walk up from Okeanos. It's where they converge. Caillou is going to look at the sideline, call for Okeanos. Do they want to go deeper than this? And remember, Winthrop have punished this before for... They have punished M80 trying to go for flanks at this A-long spot.
Last place. Not ready yet. Good hit.
Yeah, at this point too, like, you can tell M80 are aware that Winthrop University are just trying to get that timing there. Oh, Caillou, the timing just a little bit shy there. At least Okeanos gets one, but might not be able to escape.
Yeah, maybe M80 expected them to be more towards spawn, because last time Winthrop punished that, that's where they were, and Moves was just like on that platform, and okay, B-Dog just eats a shotgun. This has been a very weak-sided A-site defense, to say the least, but M80, their bread and butter has been offense, so just you wait for their attack and how they're somehow going to win this map. I don't know how M80 are going to do it, but I swear this has happened multiple times.
Jen, put the crystal ball away. We don't need any more predictions to come true here. Let's let these teams put the board down with all those nails that you're going in together. M80, ooh, they always come back. But still, I mean, like you said, this has been a very dominant half from Winthrop University. It really feels like no nonsense Valorant coming in. Everything just feels very well rehearsed. We see so much pressure every single time outside of A. One of the benefits of having that Yoru in your kit is that you're able to just get in, get out so nice and easy. Meanwhile, M80 are just having a really hard time at trying to stall out and find these timings against Winthrop University. It's that mid-round stage where they struggle the most. You can tell that they're trying to get a read on what's going on, and they go for these repositions, but somehow feel like they always kind of guess wrong when they go exploring. They're getting constantly punished for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, as Winthrop University now lead at 7-2 with 3 ultimates online.
Because Winthrop plays so slow. Maybe that's what M80 means when Winthrop are so annoying to play against. Because you can't even take map control without Winthrop hosing you down as soon as you walk up. And Sato's going to go for the same sewer push play. But now this time, the better coordinated flash, or even fault line, I should say, from Caillou. And Winthrop aren't going to make contact with anyone from M80 yet. There's the fault line. There's a swing from Sato. And no one there. Even the B-Dog paranoia to add on top of that. And then M80 were hoping for a first blood off of that. And there's the rolling thunder, and everyone from M80, all four, are caught by this as Winthrop hope to flood on in. They got the flare Armageddon, and Winthrop are somehow taking L's despite catching M80 by the heel. I swear to God, these pistols from M80, they're different. It's Caillou with 3 off the pistol, but you know, the rest did have rifles, and M80 stays stoic somehow.
You can tell just the chaos going around. Sato's like, I'm gonna get out. Oh, we can block him off. Okay, perfect. I'll just do a little bit of a bunny hop and stay in place. Caillou pulls out the classic, holding it super close by because can't use the rifle in hand, and somehow is able to find something else. It's just M80 really digging in their heels there and taking advantage of all of the ultimates that were coming in. The way that the Winthrop University composition was hoping for was that they were just going to simply back off of the site. They would get the site for free, be able to set themselves up. But instead, they just walk into an M80 squad ready to frag out in all of the chaos. And already Infiltrator so fast, so furious, clears out that C site.
He's got to uncloak eventually, and he's got the flash on bow, and he has the edge too. He had the Tejo drone to clear the site too. Winthrop very comfortable to get an immediate spike plant, but here's the flank activated from M80. B-Dog and Sato hoping put pressure on Winthrop, who hide in this nook, and the stars are up, and this is good map control here for Ali to try and slow down M80 on this flank. And it's Sato having to think twice. It's Okeanos on a different angle, and Winthrop address it one by one with the neon walls up too. We're left with a 3 versus 3. Spike is ticking down, not a lot of time. It does get tapped. It's gonna get Flare's attention. A quick flick from M80. You need to get this halfway, and it's just not gonna happen. Winthrop defends so well, and it's 8-3.
I mean, once again, we saw this very similar scoreline in the first map here, so we can't count M80 out just quite yet. But really on this defense, when we see M80 be proactive, when we see them embrace the chaos and try to push in, it's looking a lot better. It's not when they go for these slow set plays. When that happens, it feels like the momentum behind Winthrop University just completely topples over M80, and they're not able to do a darn thing. It'll be the last round coming into this one. Bao only on a Sheriff in hand. Sato pushing out aggressively yet again. This time, mitigation on that A site. Hemorrhage some of that bleeding as B-Dog goes in super deep here.
Val just needs to play safe for this neural theft after. Wow. How did Infiltrator know? B-Dog didn't even shoot the first person. He was being almost too patient. Infiltrator is such a good duelist, and it's a first blood as Winthrop have to deal with this Hunter's Fury from Okeanos. Try to slow them down, and awaiting them is Bao. The Sheriffs from M80 are disgusting, and I swear, as long as there's one Sheriff, it's winnable from M80. Make that 3 more kills than all the rifles, and we have an 8-4 half. And if I swear to God, if Winthrop go 8-4 in the second half and lose, I'm going to Winthrop and starting a protest.
At this point, hey, Psycho, hey, Drew Spark, tell your squad to just drop all rifles. Just give them only Sheriffs, because apparently that's your winning strategy when it comes on to Haven. I can't believe, once again, we just get treated to a Bao masterclass. Sheriff in hand, finding people just walking in one at a time. Makes it such a winnable scenario, and the reinforcements are there, of course, but it wouldn't be possible if Bao did not find a couple of those kills. Now, M80 onto this attack. The Winthrop University comp still tells me that they're going to be a little bit more aggro, a little bit more exploratory in controlling this map. Let's see how they're going to bash heads against one another in the second half.
Wow, just the salvos to limit M80. Look at this position from Infiltrator, but he's been discovered. He teleports back safely. With the fault line, it forces Ali out of sewers. M80 gets some headway over at A long with the smoke that was in place too. Now things are opened up, and you have Caillou with fault line and a flash remaining, using one to just shake things up from the defense of Winthrop. But look at this 3-person walk up from Winthrop at A short, I should say. And Bao has marked it. He's playing safe. And now coming from behind is Bao and the rest of M80. It's a good exchange. Bao gets 2. Okeanos with the 3rd. This offense still has some crumbs left to try and plant. But to prevent this is Nasi with the frenzy, a fault line, and a flash in his back pocket. Here's some steps. Could definitely execute, but maybe has a sense that they're running away.
It was a bit of a risky gamble, and unfortunately, they took too many losses from the M80 side there. Should have been a lot more clean for them to properly be able to get away from that, and yet they're only left with 2 members left standing. They threw everybody in. Just a single person from Winthrop was able to really just nail down the numbers. Now, this retake is coming down C long. See if M80 are ready for this one. 2v2.
They've cleared back C. They don't have eyes on Garage. And they're not expecting that Winthrop have had the time to go for this flank. Now the fault line has revealed them, and they still have to cross on the other side of the smoke, and they almost go for a spike tap. It's 1v1 Nasi versus B-Dog. And finally, B-Dog gets his revenge for what happened in mid in the last round. M80 with a pistol win to try and get back into this game.
It's happening again, Jen. It's happening again.
Oh, no. It actually, yeah, that's how M80 started the comeback, actually. Yep. You're right. Deja vu. Uh-oh.
If they get 4 rounds in a row, then you know what? Maybe there is some deep-rooted conspiracy going on here for M80. An excellent just round coming through overall. I like the way that they played these flanks here. Ali's still able to get a little bit too much value than I would have preferred, allowing for a bit of better timing from Winthrop, but it's so aggressive already. Sato going in, Ali just looking for an opportunity to maybe get a punish as the Winthrop University are pushing out mid very fast.
Winthrop are able to take these early positions because of these salvos. Look how much map control this defense has. M80 have to play slow to play off the Sova info, which the drone gets shot in A short, so M80 have to take their time, but this allows maybe a flank from Winthrop. They're trying to play as fast as they can. As B-Dog tries to shut it down, the rest of M80 get kind of stuck trying to punish Ali, and at least Okeanos pushes through sewers and takes care of that. The spike will be planted soon. B-Dog watches the flank, already spotted the cross from Infiltrator, and he was low HP anyway. Easy win for B-Dog. And M80 should be able to convert this anti-eco and bring a lot of weapons through unless they fumble somehow. There we go.
No shot, but also too, it's a sheriff, so you never know, right?
Yeah, right? I get scared when I see sheriffs.
Yeah, everything you know about traditional Valorant, throw it out the window. Sheriffs are king. But I want to really shout out Bao right now for being so pivotal to this M80 offense, being on that flank watch. Obviously, it's just the first couple of rounds. I know I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but those trips alone are doing a fantastic job at keeping Winthrop University honest. With how the composition works, they want to push out, they want to control a lot of that flanking space, and the trapwire just makes sure that that's going to be a lot more difficult for them to be able to do that. Already Infiltrator does have the Outlaw in hand, gets a little bit spammed down here as the M80 once again aggress onto this A site, leaving Bao on the lurk onto C. I'm wondering whether or not we're going to be getting that mid-round call to rotate over to C, depending on how far that lurk can go.
M80 had a 5-round win streak on their attack, and what made that comeback possible was the economy. And oh, Infiltrator too slow on the trigger. Now Sato races to put pressure on Winthrop at A, as the clone is used as bait there from Infiltrator. And no one bites from M80. That was a fake, well sold. And like you said, following up on the Bao lurk, which didn't trigger this Vice util yet. And there is a wall that could be separating things, and the Thorns are gonna at least give a hint that M80, that the Vice could be set up around here. And this is so slow from M80 trying to get through Garage, and Winthrop now have the advantage with M80 falling like flies, trying to go even past Garage on the flank.
Oh.
And Winthrop could just take a step back, play off the Outlaw, and play off the win, as Winthrop won't let them win their bonus.
And this is when we get to see the Vice utility kit really shined there. You saw the XU coming through. The shear goes up, buying moves just enough time. You see moves kind of flicking the mouse around, just trying to stay alive, and that shear makes sure that they can't come through the front door anymore. And that's when the rest of the squad is able to come through. Infiltrator ready with a rifle in hand. Make sure to find that one and just dismantles M80 before they're even able to get in and put that spike down. Now, we've disrupted the flow of things. It's not going to be 4 rounds in a row. And so Winthrop University, very poised to win this one out. They still have a 3-round advantage over M80.
This is the first time we've seen M80 just try to force their way past the salvos, but Sato was kind of by himself trying to get a punish on Ali, who got pinged out. This is M80 at a disadvantage yet again. Winthrop have been so good at catching Sato. And, well, Bao catches moves looking at the minimap or something, and that neural theft could be everything for M80 to take back this round.
Yeah, as soon as they get the neural theft, they're like, oh, A side is completely open? Perfect. And now Bao has this flank. I imagine Winthrop University should be wise to it. They will be taking down Ali, and now this gets so much more difficult for Winthrop.
That was such a menace. And having to match up what Moves does is a tough task. But now Winthrop have to worry about a flank coming through B, but they're just gonna focus forward. And Winthrop, it's not been easy. But Nasi is pretty nasty. And off of Flare, they just get 2-piece by Caillou, who's the better breach.
That was crazy. So aware of what was going to happen. The aftershock coming in, no problem. Let me just wide swing it and just hold a really weird angle so that even when Nasi was hopping around the corner, exposes already so much of that body, and it's so much easier for Caillou to make sure that first kill comes online. M80 definitely not out of this one just yet. And I gotta say, it is that offense that it feels very strong from this squad. Bao being a pivotal player at running a lot of this misinformation campaign against Winthrop University, really making them second guess where M80 might be going.
Have a broken buy from Winthrop, but guarantee themselves a rifle. Whoa! Pistol didn't work from Nasi that time, but still good damage. That Rolling Thunder will not be able to use this round there from Nasi, and you got M80 planting at C with this drone that's gonna catch, and also here that Bucky, no dimensional drift fun, not yet for Infiltrator. I like that Okeanos is playing this far forward. Just gonna have to back away though, because M80 just try to fortress up and focus on how they've left Garage open, and that's where Winthrop are gonna be pushing from. Big read from Okeanos, and Sato on the flank really is stressing Winthrop and conditioning them to worry about where everybody is on the map. And M80 keep this game close.
You can see the terror on B-Dog's face. The Bucky flying right out forwards, and B-Dog's like, not again, please. But thankfully, Caillou just watching on an off angle, ready for Infiltrator to pop through with the Bucky in hand, and punishes that one. M80 in striking distance right now, making sure that they're able to potentially stay alive in the midst of all of it, despite Moves finding such an excellent kill at the beginning of this round. This is a lot closer than we were really expecting, but like the desk said, this is such an important map for Winthrop University to win. Even though it's close right now, they gotta see the finish line.
And the op converts from Infiltrator, buying all the way down to 0. And having the dimensional drift, 3 ults from Winthrop, and especially getting rid of Sato is huge because he's been starting to flank and be a lot more aggressive as he should on the Neon. And Ali able to anchor B a lot better compared to last time because those lurks have been killing Ali. Winthrop have a good chance, the 5 versus 3, to build more insurance after starting off 8-4. Does M80 think of flanking through Garage? Ali lines it up and manages to isolate that 1v1. Bao revenge and gets the 2-piece against Moves. So Winthrop have met a bigger challenge than they've expected.
Okeanos will be able to get the spike plant down, spending a little bit more time, but look at that. Dimensional Drift going to be online for Infiltrator. This information has been good coming in from the Yoru.
Rolling Thunder, trying to capitalize on that. Easy for Winthrop. Great coordination from Nasi. And it's a clean wipe off the site for Winthrop to get up to 10.
Fantastic job from Winthrop. Of course, you have to expend 2 of your ultimates there. You got to make sure that you start to pull this one back. Anything to make sure that you stay alive. And look at this. They've still got 3 ultimates on a line for this next round. We're seeing just these weird angles once again being the prevailing factor. Bao almost went on a little bit of a spree, but ultimately it just came down to good individual micro plays coming in from Winthrop at the very end there to make sure that they walk away with this round. They find themselves at double digits. M80 looking for an opportunity, a little bit of a scattered buy coming into this next one. Infiltrator, though, still has that operator online as Sato runs in and immediately runs out.
Oh, Sato finally benefits from these aggro swings in the early round to punish what someone usually does what in his position in sewers. Now moves will be pinged out as M80 just stress this defense and force them to reposition. As you're looking for where this Rolling Thunder is going to be hitting from Caillou, and it is towards Garage. Sato jumps in, but that player is long gone, and the rest on the C side are pretty safe, and Moves equalizes, and he got the Armageddon sweeping through Garage, and this Sentinel has done more than enough to anchor Winthrop back into this game. 2 versus 1. Caillou with the spike dances in the 1v1 and can't do enough. Winthrop 2 rounds away from closing out.
We talk about the Tejo and the Breach being so effective with each other, and that's exactly what we get to see on that last round. I love it when a good Armageddon comes through and completely crunches M80 in that garage area. The fault line makes sure that they've got nowhere to run, are all stunned up and out of options, and just the Armageddon comes through and annihilates all of them. Very well played from Winthrop University to get a clean round without even really needing to show their face at all. It was just purely just off that execution that made sure that they were able to secure their 11th round. So M80, they go to their second time out now. They're starting to fall behind a little bit here and would love to start to string together a couple more rounds. This is going to be a thrifty round for them, as they're not going to necessarily have the proper weaponry to make sure they go to the bank, but this means that, you know, we could see anything. If they get a couple of sheriffs, this could completely turn on its dime, and Winthrop University are really poised right now to be able to win out this map number 2.
Yeah, just the Rolling Thunder didn't get as much value for M80 as they would have hoped, and then the Armageddon 2 is like a huge investment. And this was off of also Sato getting first blood, so you would have thought that M80 had a decent advantage going into this, but decided to not hit the A site that they had weakened and to go into C, and just really hesitated on how to approach Garage. Now the Sentinel util from Winthrop is all over C, and the usual salvo fault line from Winthrop shakes up Sato. They're starting to learn that it's not really a full commit from Winthrop to swing off of that. It's just to cause a bit of chaos from M80.
This time M80, they go back to what they know. Playing things nice and slowly. Haven't over-aggressed on any of these spots. B-Dog, the only person with a rifle in hand. The shear is going to be going off, but take a look at where the spike is. All the way down on C long. Never mind. As soon as I say that, they actually move it around. This is going to be a huge engagement here. B-Dog is able to win out, allowing for that neural theft to come online, and now the A site is this target.
Yeah, the only rifle M80 had was a Phantom, and they collect now a Vandal, and M80 are just doing work. They've had 2 thrifties in this game, and I swear, the worse their buy is, the better they shoot. I don't know what it is. M80 will get a plant, and it's Moves that has to save this rifle.
What an excellent round coming out from M80. They go for the double push across the shear, which pulls the Winthrop University members towards that B site, and making sure that B-Dog as well as Bao are able to win that. They get all the information in the world, and then suddenly you can see that Winthrop University, they're not too comfortable where to go. They don't know where these flankers are, where those members of M80 are alive. And that really is the linchpin in making sure that M80 were able to secure the round. The rest of the squad just kind of zooms in. Sato makes sure to clear out the site, and now they've got the weaponry as they find their 9th round here. M80, they're not quite done yet.
Yeah, just for M80 to help support their economy by picking up all those rifles may just mean that they could still try to make a sprint happen for the finish line and keep themselves within arm's reach of Winthrop. And we'll see what the buy will be for Winthrop, but Cosmic Divide has been huge for how Ali's been able to seal up C, but it all depends on how quick M80 are going to play, which has been pretty fast, especially if Sato's still in the lineup.
And look at that. Bao has 21 kills. You don't expect that really from the Cypher, but we'll be doing just that. It's already engagement out A-long.
Infiltrator just pulled a lot of util out and conserves his life and teleports back to spawn, and Winthrop will just reinforce the site. And it's Winthrop who had their own Thrifty, but it wasn't the last map, so I'm not going to doubt these sheriffs until they're all dead. Ali jump peaks, and definitely some presence from M80, and look how deep Moobs is at C. He's going to have to trigger this trip. And there's no A control from Winthrop in terms of A long. They just have their backs against the wall. That's where the spike is going to be hit. And M80, we're already baiting, using the neon wall and using the speed to get Winthrop to play out of the site. And they force those defenders out. So M80 will make the objective happen very soon. But Winthrop will have all 5 alive for the retake, but they're very far across, and Flare kicks things off. But it's M80 with numbers that equalize. And the rifles picked up have been huge. There's the plant, 2 sheriffs to retake, and no initiators to help Winthrop.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of a fake of a fake. You tell the Winthrop, they thought, especially too, hearing them back out, okay, they can't be going on to this A site. Makes it a lot more weaker, a lot easier for M80 to go in. Moves the last person left standing, gets a nice little shot off onto Bao, but Okeanos seals the door as M80 find themselves now onto double digits. It feels like when they've got the upper hand on Winthrop, when they are able to confuse them, Winthrop University just have a really hard time at readjusting themselves to make sure that they're playing counter to it. When they fall bait for one of those types of things, you don't see Winthrop University have as nice of a recovery as M80 does. When it comes to those weird individual frags, weird individual micro plays, usually speaking, M80 will come out on top. Although Winthrop University have been kind of just styling on them in their own sense of playing these weird types of angles and weird types of little plays themselves, when push comes to shove and chaos is among us, M80 are doing a fantastic job of playing this map.
I think Winthrop are taking this time out to think about what their buy is going to be. I've seen a few players buy down to 0 with light shields and rifles. This is a pivotal round to swing for Winthrop because the lead is about to slip from their grasp, and my conspiracy theory is so real. But I'm sure the Winthrop mentals are more resilient than anybody else in Challengers. Like the desk talked about just how much more practice they are. They have collegiate matches, they play in community tournaments, but also like they have midterms, and that's like the most stressful thing ever. So surely they could deal with this, right?
Any thesis enjoyers out there? Oh my goodness, Jane, you're triggering me.
I know, right? Sorry to bring that up. Oh boy. Oh man. Sato's getting tossed. Not punished yet. Hunter's Fury behind Sato to support him. In the overdrive, Sato's just going in solo. He's outpacing his whole team. He uses the wall and still takes the L to Flare. Oh, that burst of light that could help Winthrop get back into this game, which felt like was slipping away, and they still have the numbers advantage after a sewer swing from the rest of Winthrop. But M80 can still march forward. They still have the spike, and they still have a flash from Caillou.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels like Sato on this Neon is not getting the results that they would necessarily want. there's that like W key mentality that works when you've got that support off of it, but we haven't seen M80 really support this Neon aggressive style of play. Usually they're just like, hey Sato, run in there and find a couple of kills. And that is a near impossible task to really do whenever going into any of these reinforced sites. And so I want to see that Neon get utilized just a little bit better in these coming rounds. But still, M80 should be able to get this plant down. It's going to be a 4v3 retake as already the fault line and the flashpoint comes out. But Bao, excellent headshot.
Good disruption from Winthrop. They realize they stopped the plant and they are just going to slow swing. And Bao keeps them in check. Goes for the third. Wants the fourth. Ali denies. And wait, we have a 1v1 for match point for Winthrop. Or M80 tying things up. And it's B-Dog that just has to play the play. I'm surprised he's even playing on the site, but is probably worried about the smoke, worried about a cosmic divide. Ali is tweaking, and B-Dog gets the win.
Oh, no knife that time, but you know that B-Dog's got Ali's number. Just reminded him, hey, don't forget that knife on round number 4. So just a little bit of mind games happening there, but honestly, Bao just holding a singular angle as they one by one march in front of those crosshairs. And it isn't until Ali decides to walk in themselves, make sure is able to find a couple more kills, keep them honest, isolates those 1v1s themselves. And B-Dog is able to win that one out. So we're all tied up. Make-A-Wish 11-11. One of these teams are going to be going up to 12.
Winthrop can't choke this. They just can't.
Surely.
I'm going to lose it. I'm going to crash out. And I believe in Ali. The Sheriffs, the Thrifties have been sick. They haven't done it this map, but Ali, I'm believing in the Slurp, but there is going to be a trip, and it's going to be supported there by moves at the back through Garage. And this site is completely open at A, and it's kind of weird. M80 are like, we're used to getting salvoed. We're used to getting all fault line and all this stuff, but this is going to be open. They're going to realize it off the drone.
Yeah, and honestly, too, the stealth drone doesn't really find any value on the other side. And yeah, it's going to be that open site. Keep in mind, Dimensional Drift online and a Bucky in the hands of Infiltrator. And that could be a fun madness.
Ooh. All right, a little bit of damage from the salvo, but M80 comfortable to now just play off of time. Dimensional Drift, the clone. Okeanos doesn't bite, but still Infiltrator. Bucky helps them set themselves apart. And there is a flank, and even the spam through the smoke. That's huge for Bao. And M80 are about to get up to match point. And this will be close to series point. And Winthrop fall apart.
They hold so well there, setting up these crossfires that Winthrop University decided to go into. You see them try to force their way in. Infiltrator able to find a kill onto Okeanos, which is absolutely massive. But the rest of the squad just have such a difficult time going into it. They're expecting another hero play. They're expecting another Bao just to be watching them as they walk in one by one. But this time around, they go, there's nobody there. All that utility gets expended, and then they just walk into a different defensive post-plant setup. It's so difficult for them to get anything done. Of course, too, keep in mind that they did only have light weaponry in that last round, but still, M80, they're ready to potentially get the second map. And I just want to remind everybody the stakes. Roy mentioned it so many times as we were coming into this one. This is a must win from Winthrop University. They've got the experience under their belt. They've done the reps. They have to keep their head back into it. And I still believe that they should be able to win out this map in overtime.
Yeah, because Abyss is one of Winthrop's weakest maps, and at a 75% win rate, one of M80's strongest. After the timeout, Winthrop gotta get their ducks in a row. And they got the Armageddon Cosmic Divide, Neural Theft available from Bao, and you got an op buy from B-Dog too on the offense of all things. Maybe trying to lock eyes with someone from Winthrop who could swing off of this. They just have to be wary of the salvos from Flare that like to push this A lobby. There's a responding fault line from Caillou to try and suppress Winthrop in that moment. This is just a stalemate. The silence is loud.
Yeah, it's like if you dropped a pin drop anywhere on the map, then you'd be able to hear it. tension is just so high, and you can tell that Winthrop University, they feel the pressure going on right now. And I think that this might actually work in M80's benefit. If they go for any of these trick plays, I think Winthrop University might just completely take the bait. But with that owl drone and a flashpoint coming out here, Winthrop University, they believe that this is going to be an A-side hit, and M80 are walking up a little bit, but still not giving up any information.
And Winthrop are not as aggro about map control when you have this early, quiet 30 seconds compared to how M80 were. That's how M80 just kind of fed a bit in that first half. And Sato's jumping around, and Infiltrator just immediately reacted. The Armageddon plus the salvos. M80 just walk into the Winthrop trap.
30 seconds left.
And soon we could be heading into overtime. All depends if Bao can get a corpse, use this neural theft and swing it back, and got too greedy for it. A huge shutdown from Moobs. And surely this seals the deal for this round and for overtime coming up. M80 is also still plant the Cosmic Divide. Ensues for Ali to allow this retake to happen. But how do they press on the other side? But B-Dog is just solo on the other side and fades back to safety. And it's a 1v3. No, it's gone. Winthrop have forced overtime.
I have to admit, I am very impressed with Winthrop University when they got those ultimates in their pocket. You see the trap play kind of coming through, and it kind of works, but there must have been a little bit of a miscommunication with the shear there. Usually you see all of them hop over at the exact same time. That's when you want that execute to happen on that A site to really throw your opponent off. But instead of that happening, the shear cuts the squad in half. It's disjointed timing coming in, and they're not able to securely, quickly walk in onto the site. It was a little bit of shenanigans at the end there, but Winthrop had the numbers advantage, and they played that perfectly. An excellent job coming out as we now find ourselves into overtime. And with how both these teams have been playing, it's going to be which one of these teams are able to get that defensive round. If they're able to defend properly, then the attacking round, according to the statistics so far, should be a win on this map.
Both teams went 8-4 in terms of offensive rounds to defensive. So I completely agree which defense is going to pull through. And the first two defensive rounds from M80 were off of Sheriff Thrifties, so now that you have rifles, I worry. But obviously, things got better for M80. As they just hold their ground, they're not going to press for that map control that they got punished at so nasty by Winthrop. When M80 would just walk up, the silence gave them a sense of security, gave them confidence, but M80 have really dialed things back.
Infiltrator as well. Ready to go in deep with the operator. Spots out the trap there. So it gets shot out, which should give M80 a little bit of information. Look at this. That C site is completely open right now. And if Winthrop decide to move there, could work out well. They're actually retreating just for a second as Moobs is now going to be moving in, and now that gets spotted out by Bao.
Just M80 are getting their steps in for sure. As soon as the clone was heard, the Your clone at C, it pulled 3 rotates out of A, and maybe M80 just want to play out of sight, I don't know, but Moves with first blood does get traded. His lurk was over at B. Meanwhile, Winthrop have taken care of the defenders. Is still Caillou hanging around. He's got to wait for Bao. He's got to wait for B-Dog. The paranoia, the flash is what M80 have to use for this retake. But Winthrop, other side of the box, on hell, in hell, and all over, especially in sewers and all different types of positions. You still have an op from Infiltrator ringing true with B-Dog. And this defense is looking scary in a 1v2. We'll see if we can pull it off. And the shot through the smoke.
Hey, you know what they say? You miss 100% of the shots that you never take, right? Just an excellent little timing coming in from Infiltrator. And yeah, now that we're in overtime, M80 will be taking their extra time out here to make sure that they're able to secure this one. Like I said, Jen, this is still very winnable for Winthrop University, and they're looking to take a point back in this series. Make sure that this is not going to be one of those games that drags out so heavily in M80's favor. And this is another time to reiterate something else the desk had mentioned about the ability of Winthrop University to outlast their opponents just with the raw number of Valorant games that they have been playing. I don't doubt that M80 are on the same, side of things, all things considered. They've got quite a bit of experience themselves. However, Winthrop University, it's just match after match after match after match. And so the longer this drags out, this might be actually a bit of a better mental game for Winthrop compared to this M80 squad.
Yeah, I don't doubt that Winthrop can last. Have you ever been to a class in college? That's 3 hours of sitting through math. If you can sit through that, you could sit through Valorant. And it takes all the brain power too. So Winthrop have to win a defense though to try and even up our series. And M80 gave them plenty of time. Look at the pings from Winthrop. They're full sending it at A, stacking it with salvos to teleport across from B-Dog to dodge it to get the punish on an infiltrator who walked up and didn't teleport in time.
That's telling. Usually it's Sato who goes down first, and then Winthrop University are able to try to scrounge their rounds together, but B-Dog is on a tear right now.
Oh no, Ali moved his crosshair to look at something, and that is the worst timing ever. M80, versus now it's just going to be another attacking round converted. I think Flare and Nasi want to prevent the plant. At least they're on the site. You got 2 flashes. And they're out in the open. M80 just going to play their lives. They're going to not peek. And if anyone should do it, it's Sato. Got the aftershock from Nasi to force some movement. Nasi with a win against Okeanos. Bao and friends add pressure to the person in heaven. Flare's the last one left in a 1v3.
All missiles away.
But time is running out. Salvos were able to regenerate. And yeah, we're tied 13-13.
Yep, who could have seen that one coming? Both of these squads just so much better on this attack here. And I gotta say, like, you gotta give props to Winthrop University trying something a little bit different. We see them not go for the, just the stun as well as the salvos, all of that type of stuff. They just go with the salvos that time, trying to hold on to the fault line and allow Infiltrator a little bit of space, play off of a bit of this weird play that they're doing. But instead, B-Dog, not Sato this time, just is in position, ready to punish that Yoru walking through. And that really sets this round off on the right foot for M80. As now they're back onto the defense. They contest that A site with a lot of pressure thanks to that breach utility. But meanwhile, the push out is happening closer towards C. It's unconventional as it's Sato and Bao moving forwards, but Sato's got an off.
Oh, this Ali has been so unlucky with these timings, even in the previous round, the first to fall. And you don't see that op by every day from Sato, although it was so nasty with it yesterday. I'm kind of waiting for the Sato op. Now Winthrop worry about this map control on the left side after losing Ali, so you kind of want to pace up, and where they have moves inserted, surely this should give Winthrop confidence, but you also need to have your smokes around. And guess who's dead? Someone who gives smokes. And post playing for B is kind of sketch if you have those doors open.
It's a hard knock life if you want to plan here on B, but I also want to just mention this is the first time we're seeing any of these teams actually engage onto that B site. So this is unknown territory for both of these squads, as it is that 5v4 retake.
Player watches the right, Nasi on the left, Moop supports the left.
Oh.
And you have B-Dog in position for a paranoia once the rest of M80 want to play this from front to back, but B-Dog's also exploring. You have Infiltrator leaving the site, and this is catching M80 off guard. And what we thought was going to be our first defensive round of overtime has been flipped on its head. And Winthrop convert their attacking round again.
Oh my goodness me. Are you that was kind of wild, actually. I mean, obviously, yeah, we did talk about the fact that they haven't been on this B site, so they don't really know what to expect on that post plant. But M80 just kind of walked in one by one, hoping for a timing or catching someone off guard or looking in the wrong direction, and just got absolutely punished for it, one person at a time. So Winthrop University still win their attacking round, despite it being a little bit more strange at the beginning, not how they would want. And this time it's going to be aggressive yet again from M80 just outside of this A site, but Infiltrator has this operator now and is going to be trying to just keep them honest.
Yeah, to capitalize on the pressure that the salvos create from Flare at this A lobby, and plus the smokes from Ali. So really gambled this op from Infiltrator.
Portal closed.
And is he gonna continue? Is he thinking M80 isn't here? And look at where Sato is looking. They're expecting Winthrop to walk up like that. Look how slow M80 are playing too. This doesn't even immediately activate Sato into overdrive. And Flare doesn't touch the orb, but this could have, if he does, could definitely cause a reaction from B-Dog, who has a paranoia, and Sato could just jump into his loving arms and not even needing the util. Easy shots for M80, who have been gifted 2 free kills off of just patience alone. And to limit them is Nasi, who stands in the way of the fast lane. The aftershock, the fault line, will be the last man standing to prevent the plant. And he's created some amazing delay, especially with the thorns from the Vice, but not enough firepower from Winthrop to come out to take a defensive round, to take the map. Not yet. Ali 1v4. With some damage being done, Caillou and Sato low especially. Ali's trying to force the engagement. Hal has to reload. Caillou and Sato can also just coordinate the swing. 3, 2, 1. And look at this positioning. It's just like the firing squad of M80. As Ali has so many corners to clear, and it's just... The controller isn't the one to do it, but wait a minute. Wait, the star comes up as the fault line hits him. So Ali buys time, goes into hell, clears that, one step at a time. But the spike is ticking down. And it's just gonna get tapped, and it was a really great effort from Ali, though. Had me in the first half, not gonna lie.
There's something so funny about just watching Ali turn the corner, and of course we can see the outlines of all the defenders just hanging out on their own individual corners, waiting for an opportunity, and yet still somehow Ali's able to find a one in the midst of all of that. But once again, it's just the discipline coming in from M80. I talked about it when they play a little bit more aggro. That seems like it's better when they go up against Winthrop University. But this time they just revert back, play nice and slow, get the punish on the aggression coming in from Winthrop. And that is more than enough to make sure that they win out that defensive round. So we go again. I believe that this is now going to be a triple OT. As things go yet again, and it's going to be Winthrop University pressuring in onto the garage as well as onto the C site. Sato investing in the operator yet again.
Oh, Ali, the timing kills them again every time they hesitate. They take an L to Sato. Ali will get it one day, I swear. Oh man, when it rains, it pours. Wait, this is huge for a defense to finally win, to end this never-ending overtime. Look how far pushed up M80 are at C. And Nasi needs to be careful as the spike carrier. He's waiting for the rest of Winthrop to clear C, but they don't have eyes on C long. So Nasi may have a sense of security. And that is going to reveal the entire plan, and the spike being down, all that effort for nothing. A defensive round win, and M80 this close to going to series point.
And I love the difference that we're seeing on that defense coming out from M80. Sato's not getting enough value onto that A site. Well, we know they either like to go A or they like to go C. Let's just put Sato over onto C, really reinforce it a little bit more and make it that much more difficult. And eventually, when Winthrop, one of these rounds, they're going to be going in onto C, we punish them. We make this so much more difficult for this squad to be able to get that spike down. And that was the key to success. They were able to understand how Winthrop University were playing and made sure that their defense reflected it. Now that Winthrop here is on the defending half, they have to try something different because M80 have been running away with these attacking rounds. I want to see a little bit more of an adaptation. They can't be doing the thing where Infiltrator just walks out and immediately gets punished by them holding their ground. We need to see them try something new in order to disrupt this M80 attack. Otherwise, this could be map 2 for M80.
And Bao at 32 kills is so incredible. I feel like we always sing the praises of someone like Sato, how much they've invested into him.
Yeah.
Oh, Kianos when he was a duelist before he came in. B-Dog, who was explosive yesterday. And Bao is so consistent, but to light up at this level is so awesome.
With a 32-19 KD, that is, You don't see that on your Cypher, especially too onto Haven. Usually, it is going to be the duelist taking the reins on it, if not B-Dog, but Bao has been so solid at punishing that over-rotation from Winthrop University, especially on this defense. And speaking of defense, Winthrop, they're changing it up. Infiltrator this time. Oh my goodness, jump scare. Is holding so close in garage and actually decides to back out of there, which gives M80 a little bit more space to be able to freely move in onto garage.
I feel like I can't blink, and production just made me do that, so...
Surprise.
M80 with garage control have already suppressed and put shots into Winthrop, who are holding window. And Winthrop is just going to hold their ground. They knew they got punished when they walked up at A from Sato and friends, just bunkering down. So any aggressive play has been dealt with from either side. We could see M80 try B, thinking the perimeter has been stacked. At least they have their controller alive. And this is
30
huge.
seconds left.
The vice wall did limit them for a second. The salvo could clip B-Dog, or Caillou, I should say. No damage, though. Now they can play from main. But Ali could zone them off, has a star in place at B main. Watching either doorway. B-Dog at left, Sato on right. And this is for the win for M80 to go up to series point. Oh, and the jump out. Good trade. M80 still with the advantage, but the left side weak. Sliding in. Sato 6 feet under. Equal numbers as Okeanos is in main, hoping to shock ball and just react to the spike we tapped. But Flair dislodges both, and the defense back-to-back wins.
Oh no! Of course, when we get one defensive round, then Winthrop University says we could do one too. And it's that B site just mosh that's happening there. We see the setup is really good. It works out well, but honestly, it's just a little bit of good timing coming in from Winthrop University. We see them just take that forward advantage, push through the smoke there, and make sure that everyone from that M80 squad holding back all the way into middle just get punished and aren't able to do anything about Flair, just running rampant onto them. That with a little bit of a misclick. That camera's not going to be available for a little bit, but this is going to be Winthrop University moving in pretty quickly as soon as that information is given.
I'm sure the nerves are really setting in. And look how deep the thorns were thrown, and Winthrop have the clone leading in. Now Bao can readjust his camera, but also Winthrop are peppering the site with util, and Sato inserts himself on the up. And the bullet where the sun don't shine. Goodbye to Infiltrator, a huge part of Winthrop and their attack. With a defense with an advantage for once, and
Oh
the flash in time for Sato to get into a better spot. Winthrop thinking about garage too. With that trip from the defense preventing Winthrop from going too deep, at least without M80 knowing. Fault lines across the board. Garage presence from Winthrop as they're ready to converge. 35 seconds left. M80 really testing their limits. A great shot from Sato. More around the corner. Winthrop want to pressure this up. And getting away from the aftershock. Sato, the smokes are clear from A long. And just saw the gun from Ali. Another unlucky timing. The overdrive. Where is Nasi? Oh, there we go. Okay. And that's a back-to-back-to-back defensive round wins. We were wondering when were the defense is going to win. Now when are the attacks going to win?
Not like this, but I gotta say, hey, M80, after this map, take notes, especially for this Haven defense, because Sato with this operator is absolutely deadly. We were seeing him consistently be outmatched onto that A site, not able to find those opportunities, not able to find that value. But C has just been a jungle gym for this Neon to just frag out, operator in hand, so much value. Winthrop not able to do a single thing. And this time it's aggression coming through. Sato loses that initial engagement.
Oh, and it was off the just same play of racing past the salvos, hoping Caillou's fault line connects and for Sato to win that, but just couldn't sidestep well enough against Flair, who studies his aim. And a defense with a first blood yet again, as 3 stacked on A, and M80 with a flash from Caillou still available, and a Paranoia 2 that's in position. With a drone for Kianos if they really want to take their time with it. This Winthrop 2 don't want to get caught off guard by a random M80 lurk, so they'll keep Nasi at B, but they may need his reinforcement with the fault line and the Flash, who should be accessible on short notice. As M80 get ready to hit their execute. There's smokes in place, so is Ali. Gonna step up into this with the shotgun of all things. One shutdown, the punish from the rest of M80, stepping up to Sewer, bow with the 180, flicks and turns, and M80 established on the site. 1v2 is moves. M80 for the win, and they know exactly where the threat is coming from, but Bao couldn't spit back the 1v1 to extend OT. So Kiana's with the plant, and sees moves, already taking damage, shock bolts and drone. As moves doesn't know whether right or left, but it's Okeanos with more than an okay play. M80 series point.
A very important map win coming in from M80, and you could tell Winthrop University when they're pushed against the wall, not really sure what they want to be doing. That's when we see this M80 squad come alive. And I know that we talked about it a lot. Oh yeah, the longer that the series goes, Winthrop University are going to be the ones that start to heat up because they've got that experience. But M80, I mean, as these rounds started to go, they started off very quiet, but all started to individually wake up. We highlighted Bao so much, doing so much on that Cypher role, finding so many kills, being the backbone that supported M80 throughout all of this, even when so many of their members were falling down. And Winthrop University were unable to deal with all of that flank pressure that was being applied. They had their game plans, Infiltrator falling down so early. It just slowly started to crumble as more of these rounds happened. And, you know, that was a very important map for M80 to win. And they do that. It's now 2-0 in this losers final.
I gotta crash out though, because this is another 8-4 half that Winthrop messed up on. I'm not gonna use the C word. And a win streak that Winthrop, that's now broken. This was one of their best maps. And, you know, applause to them to go to such a long overtime, but now they gotta get their books together and study up, because Abyss is coming up, and that's one of their worst maps and one of the best out of M80. But first, we got to hear from the desk, because that was a map of all time. We'll see you after this.
We started extremely late. I kid you not, we have 3 weeks of practice. I said this in the first week. We walked into the first week having 1 week of practice, right? But the amount of work that we've put in compared to everyone else is absurd. It's like an hour and a half to nearly 2 hours of server, 4 blocks, and review afterwards, and with homework afterwards, right? The team is like gelling together pretty consistently. Obviously every team has some days where we're peaking higher than others. I think we recognize what we need to fix instantly, and I think that's what makes this team so special. I always put 100% into whatever team that chooses to play with me. Obviously, Blinn was a more unknown team. It was like a collegiate esports club. While M80 is like, you know, the principal of tier 2, you know. They have made essentially grand finals twice now. You know, so they obviously have that level of prestige to them, and so that obviously has to affect my demeanor as well when it comes to just overall like how I present myself, right? Because right now I'm not just establishing and representing like, you know, like a group of people that enjoy the game. I'm representing like a high profile organization that has had tons of gravity in the tier 2 scene, right? So I obviously have to hold myself up to a higher standard, and trying to do that. But I'm also blessed and grateful that I was chosen to be able to, you know, fill in the